Welcome to the Modern Day Heroes podcast. This is episode 1. Okay, this podcast is designed for me to be able to interview other people's heroes and personal heroes of myself. For my very first podcast, I'll do hundreds of these. I wanted to bring my number one hero in and help everybody in my audience and everyone out there that can hear how amazing and special she is and why you're a hero to me. So grateful to have you on. This is my wife, Bre Erickson. She's
everybody.
CEO of the Erickson family. She's the greatest supporter in my life, an amazing daughter, sister, daughter-in-law, mother, and spouse. And so I'm excited to dive in today and let people get to know you and see all the amazing strengths that you have. So
I'm so excited.
Good.
So excited to be here.
Good. You're natural. This is going to be fun.
You're the best. I love you.
Tell us a little bit about Bre Erickson.
Well,
High level.
I grew up just here in Utah County, Pleasant Grove. I have 3 siblings, 2 incredible parents, super grateful for them. Most incredible husband. I got super lucky. I love pickleball, love reading, love I love my son. He's incredible. He's awesome. He just barely started crawling, and so he's giving us a run for our money right now.
Tell us a little bit about him.
He is so awesome. He was born in April, and he has just been the absolute light of our life. We have it's been the coolest thing becoming a mom and seeing my husband become a dad and watching you just love him. And it's been super awesome. Love him so much. He's getting into everything now that he can crawl, and it is the funniest thing seeing his personality just sprout and seeing him have a little personality.
Well, you're world class at it. I don't know if there's another mom in the world that is as good as you.
That's what I would say about you as a dad.
No way. It's amazing to watch you come into motherhood. Tell us a little bit about what that's been like for you. What have been some of the pros? What have been some of the cons? How has stepping into motherhood impacted you in your life?
Yeah, I love that question. It's so cool because becoming a mom has been the most spiritual. Like, I have never felt something as incredible as becoming a mom when I did. And just seeing myself grow through that has been so awesome. It's the most incredible feeling and the most rewarding, happiest thing that I've ever had happen to me. So grateful for Covey. It's also had its challenges, as anybody that is listening to this that has kids would understand. There's just a little bit of that, like, you miss your freedom a little bit, things like that. But it's such a slim thing to feel compared to how deeply and devoted you are naturally to this little person that you created. And I've loved it. It's been my greatest calling.
I'm so happy to hear that. For the moms out there that haven't had a kid yet, or maybe they're thinking of getting pregnant or going through that process, and they want to be exceptional moms, what would be a piece of advice that you give them?
My piece of advice would be there's so many things I can say, but if I had to pick one thing, I would say definitely take it in while you can. I remember at the beginning, everybody was always like, it goes by fast, enjoy it. And I'm like, yeah, like everybody says that. But it's actually blows your mind once you get to it. Like, now he can crawl and all these things. He's getting into the dog food and all the things. I have to chase him around. And it's funny because I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I swear, just like last month he couldn't even crawl or barely even roll or things like that. So it is so true how quickly it goes by. So I would just say soak in every minute of it, even when it feels like you're drowning in no sleep and all the things. Just soak it in.
I love that. One person once told me, enjoy every phase and be present in every phase. Because most of the times we're like, oh, I can't wait until he walks.
Yeah.
Or I can't wait until I can drive him to soccer or whatever it is. And it's like every single phase there's a I can't wait for. And eventually you're going to pass that phase and you'll be like, oh, I wish I wasn't waiting for the future. I could have just been present in the moment. Be present when you can't crawl. Like, I miss just holding Covey with one arm. Like, I miss that, you know?
Me too.
But back in that phase, I was like, I can't wait till he can walk and I can throw the football with him. And so I think one thing you've been amazing at, been a great example to me of, is you've been present every phase. And you've just like truly enjoyed every single phase. And it's something that I've admired about you and how you parented.
Thanks, babe. I appreciate that. I definitely am not perfect at it. There's always room to grow in parenthood, I feel like. But I do miss that too. I feel like you can't be present enough. But
Sure.
definitely you're allowed to feel the hardships as well.
Good. So I want to dive into a couple things here today. I think you have some incredible strengths that are so unique, and I want to dive deep into them. And I want to dive deep a little bit into your experience and your upbringing and how 26-year-old Bre came to be today. And so I would say your greatest attribute, and anyone that ever meets you says, Bre is the most positive person in the world. Where does that come from? How does that come about? Tell us where that originates from and how you are so consistent in that.
Oh, man. So many things and so many people play a part in that in my life. The biggest one is Christ. Definitely, I feel that I have met so many people along my journey that have taught me so many lessons, and even just trials in life that have taught me so many things. And I want to say it also a little bit has just been the natural person in me, just a little bit, barely a sliver, but I'm a lover. I see so many good things in so many things. And
why is that though? Like, what makes you be positive rather than naturally most people tend to be more negative, but you just decide every single time to be positive every time?
That's a good question. Sometimes I feel like sometimes I'm still figuring out why, but I've seen a lot of negativity and things like that, and I've seen the outcome of what that has brought people, and seeing the negative in situations, in trials, in people. And even if you have been wronged or things like that, and you are in the right to feel that negativity, it doesn't do you any good, in my opinion. And I feel that it's better, you're better off yourself just being positive. And why not? It can only do you good. Why not, you know?
Yeah, it's beautiful. You shared briefly that the core and the root of your positivity comes from Christ, and he inspires that in you.
Yeah.
Dive deeper into that. What does that mean?
I have been through some trials in my life that have left me alone or experiencing things and hardships that most people shouldn't experience or things like that. But and the person or that kept me going and kept me feeling that positivity and that light has been Christ. And so he plays the biggest part in how I have been able to continue to stay positive throughout my life. And not only that, but just have a good perspective and things along the way about certain things. It's not fake. None of it's fake. It's all real. It's all genuine. And it's because of Christ and my choice. There's also your own choice. You choose your future. You choose what you feel. You choose your happiness. You choose all those things. And I choose that. So
that's incredible. I love you. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
I love how you talk about choice. We can all choose to be positive or negative. We can all choose to be happy or sad. We can all choose to be complaining, blaming, being the victim, not being the victim. Everything is a choice. And the first thing I remember on our first date, within the 15 minutes, we started talking about you and your background and just our lives. And the number one thing that just stuck out to me, and that like my first impression was, she chooses to be exceptional and to be incredible, when actually she probably has a lot of excuses not to be, based upon some of the experiences that you've had. Tell us a little bit about your background and dive a little bit deeper so we can get a feel for the experiences that you've experienced that have made you into the person you are today, and maybe some of those pivotal moments for you that were
I'd
like,
love to.
yeah, that was pivotal in becoming who I was, or that was the day I decided to do X or Y or Z.
Yeah, I'd love
Tell
to.
us a little bit about that.
So I have 3 siblings, 2 incredible parents, like I said. I grew up, we were a very happy family, super strong, and loved each other just as any other family does. But my parents got divorced when I was 11, unfortunately, and
Poor, incredible.
love my parents so
They're
much. Oh my gosh.
incredible
2 of
people.
my very best friends in this world. I never want to speak I never want to
Yeah,
them in a bad light, because truly they are so incredible and make mistakes just like anybody else. But
100%.
they got divorced when I was 11, and they both kind of had their made some choices that they maybe shouldn't have post divorce, and I suffered a little bit in those choices that they made, and oftentimes found myself in scary situations in my environment due to my dad. He was an alcoholic, and my mom, who was in and out of jail because she made some choices and got in trouble with the law. And and again, I want to say, so incredible. They are so incredible now. They've definitely made different choices and changed their lives. But I found myself oftentimes sleeping at night on floors of random people that I didn't really know. A lot of people around me had either been in rehab recent, or doing drugs, or just doing things around me that
12 or 13.
12 or 13-year-olds should see. Exactly. My mom was not totally in the best place at the time, and so I would oftentimes hear things or that I probably shouldn't have, or I would oftentimes definitely not make it to school as much as I should have been. Things were really hard at that time in my life, and it's so crazy because I feel that in that time, I felt so alone, and I missed my family. But it's interesting because I never, thinking back, hindsight, although I was alone and it was hard and all these things, like, I still felt that light in me. I was never completely alone, and it's incredible the way Christ and God, they all work in their way that they do, and you recognize it later on. But anyways, my dad, on his end, he was really struggling with the divorce, and so he fell into some heavy alcohol addiction, and he found himself going to work, and then as soon as he got clocked out of work, he would instantly start drinking and come home. And I for a long time I didn't see him sober, and it was so hard for me because I know him, and I know how much he was hurting, and he wasn't himself. And my dad's incredible, and it was hard for me to see that, but it was also hard for me to experience the guilt he was feeling that made him act out in certain ways. He would get angry, and so things would happen. I remember one time it had been so long of him drinking. I was so angry. I was so mad at him. And we laugh about it now, but I took all of his alcohol bottles and I took them outside and I threw them on the ground, and I threw them in the trash, and I got rid of all of them. And he was so, so mad at me. And I just remember feeling such a loss of just myself and not knowing, I just felt so alone again, so lost, so scared. And I was so young. I didn't know what to think. Anyways, it's the best thing about all of it, through all of that, is just the people that I had in my life to kind of pull me out of those situations. And although nobody at school kind of understood what was going on, I wouldn't share with other people because I never wanted to paint my parents in a bad light. I never wanted to get them in trouble because they were incredible people and they were going through so much at the time. And I knew that it was not them. And I kind of just prayed for a time that I was hoping that if we could just keep ourselves together, it would,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, work itself out. But things were not working out. My mom oftentimes, she was in and out of jail, sometimes getting arrested in front of me. We had no money. She was not the most reliable person with her word. And so, she was so focused on other things and stuff like that. And she was just kind of losing herself in all of it, in the midst of all of it. And, I just remember I was clinging so hard to the people around me that I look up to. I have my best friend, Abby. She was the best because she also had her hardships with her family, and we were just the best example there for each other through it all. And I feel that through it all, I had so many people in my life that were just there for me. I had friends' parents that, although they didn't know what was going on, they kind of could figure, and they would just take me in. And even there's so many families, parents of friends that are just incredible.
Yeah.
Just taking such good care.
It's incredible.
It's so awesome, the friends that you have in your life and things like that. But eventually, there was a day when I remember my dad had gotten so drunk, and I had just got home from a dance recital or dance competition. I can't remember. So I was in like shorts and like a tank top, and it was middle of winter, and it was kind of late at night. My dad kicked me out of my house, and he was upset because I can't remember what I did. I did something, so he kicked me out. I didn't know what to do because he locked all the doors. He took my phone away, all the things. And so I started walking over to this gas station, and the gas station was about it was far. It was definitely far for walking without shoes and stuff in the middle of winter. And I walked all the way there to see if I could find a phone to call somebody, and it was closed. And so I walked back, and I didn't know what to do, so I knocked on neighbors' doors and hoped that somebody would be awake, that I could use a phone to call. And nobody would answer, which I don't blame them. Some random girl crying on their doorstep, knocking on their door. I'm sure they were probably a little freaked out. But I ended up sitting on my porch for a little bit, crying and just praying to know what to do. And the craziest thing happened. I just had a feeling, a prompting to open my window, see if it was unlocked. So I did, and I got in there, and I was able to find my laptop. And my dad had shut off the Wi-Fi and everything, but for some reason it was still working. So I messaged somebody, I think it was like my aunt, and I just said, "Can you come get me? I'm at my dad's, he kicked me out," all these things. And so I had packed a quick bag, and my aunt came, and she's incredible. I owe so much to her. She came as fast as she could in the middle of the night, and she told me that she was going to talk to my parents and that I'd be living with her. And so she and my Uncle Scott took me in, and they took care of me for a few years until I graduated, and they've just been there for me ever since. And it's been an incredible thing for me to be back in a family environment at that time in my life when I needed it most. And it's been awesome for my parents to be able to focus on themselves and work through it. And I think that it was needed for both of us. And we were able to all overcome it. And now I can have a good relationship with my parents and put that behind us. And it's been awesome. It's taught me so much of who I am today. And I am so grateful that I went through all of that. There's not a single thing that I wish had happened differently. Yeah, I'm just incredibly grateful for everything that happened to me at that time. I wouldn't take one thing away, because through all of the darkness and all of the hardships that I was experiencing through that time, the trials, everything, the loss of family, the loss of love, my siblings had left because they were a lot older than me. they had left and I was there just to deal with it all on my own, which made it that much harder. But I wouldn't take any of it away because of all of that, I was able to experience what it was like to feel the negative things and experience the way that my siblings had their relationship was a lot different with my parents because they chose to view it differently and to maybe not have such a positive outlook as I did. And they have every right to feel the way they want to. Like, there's no right or wrong way to feel about it. I definitely see a difference in a relationship that I have with my parents versus maybe theirs is not quite so close. And that taught me a huge lesson on positivity and working through things with a positive perspective and to not think that anybody owes you anything.
I think everyone watching and everyone listening to this is thinking, holy smokes. So 11 years old, from 11 to 18, you raised yourself. Sorry. You were in and out of different houses. You had a mom that was in and out of jail that you couldn't rely on. You had a dad that had a vice and addiction that you couldn't rely on. You experienced abusive relationships, whether that was someone that your mom was with or in different ways. And here we are 14 years later, and you're sitting here and people are probably like, this girl is incredible. No. And that's the coolest part about life, is all of us get dealt cards. And your cards are different than mine, and his cards are different than hers.
So true.
But and my cards might be better than yours, and his cards might be better than hers. But the coolest part is just like poker, we can all bluff, and we can all play to win. No matter what cards we get dealt with, we still have the chance at winning. And so I think it's powerful for people, because it's not uncommon nowadays for people to experience what you experienced.
It's so true. It's so true. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I was actually thinking about this today. There's not one person out there that doesn't experience some sort of hardship, something that really takes a toll on them. I totally believe that. And this just happens to be mine.
Well, and what's powerful about it is I think a lot of people, 11, 12, 13, when they have this experience, they kind of write their own story. And it's like, hey, because of this, because of what I've went through, I can't be successful. Or because of what I went through, because of this abuse, I can't find love. Or because of these experiences, I can never be happy again. And I look at you, and you've been through each one of those things. And despite all that, you decided to still write your own story and say, I don't care about my past. I don't care about what experiences or things I went through, trauma, negative, positive, whatever it is. I'm still going to be happy. I'm still going to find love. I'm still going to be successful. And I would say majority of people don't have the capability of making that choice or thinking that way. They think this is what happened and this is now permanent. Tell us a little bit about that, how you've, although experienced all that, how you've still been able to say, it's like, I'm still going to write my own story. I'm still going to play to win despite the cards that I was dealt with.
That's such a good question. I feel like a lot of that is just a positive. I mean, I always go back to this, but it really was just Christ. Like, I was being guided through it all. And as much as I knew it or not, I feel that it was the positive. Okay, I feel bad because I probably sound like a broken record, but it's truly the positive perspective I have through it all and Christ within me. It really brought me to a place of, well, and I'm missing something, clinging to the people around me that I looked up to so much. I mean, there's like, no matter who you are, you're going to have people around you that you look up to, or somebody that is good in your life. Cling to those people. Those are the people that will bring you to a place that you want to be, to the mindset that you want to have. And for me, those people really, and although a lot of them didn't know what I was going through, a lot of those people really brought me through that, and through their life and their happiness and those things. I told myself, I want that. That's what I want. That's the kind of family I want to have. This is who I want to be for my husband. This is who I want to be for my kids, for my future family. This is the type of person I want to be for my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, my both my sisters. You know what I mean? And looking at the incredible things around you, even if it's so slim, even if you think you have such a slim amount of those positive, bright things in your life, I feel like cling to them, because those are the things that you will look at and once they find yourself thinking like, oh, I brought this into my life because I saw that, or they showed me that, and all these things. And just that's kind of it. Through that, the people around me in Christ and my positive perspective, I told myself, like, my parents made some bad choices. I don't want to ruin a relationship with them, because I want to have this relationship with my family just like these people did, because look how happy they are. And because of that, I chose to look at it in a positive positive perspective. Look how far along they've come now, and they have their shortcomings, yes, but like, look at the way we can spend time together, because I decided to put it past me, or because we decided to look past it. And even if they didn't apologize for such a long time, it was like, truly nobody owes you anything. Like, you create your own life. And when I was able to put things behind me and not expect anything, I was able to really grow into this person that I am, because I chose not to have high expectations for anything. Nobody owes me anything. Doesn't matter who it is. My parents, no matter what they put me through, nobody owes me anything at all. No matter what they did to me, who they are, their title of who they are in my life. It doesn't matter if they're my parents. They truly don't. They don't owe me. They don't owe it to me to pay for my things or things like that. They don't owe it to me to apologize to me for anything. And I shouldn't base my future on small things like that, like an apology, or how good is this person being to me, or even smaller things like, did I pass this test, things like that. Like, you choose to look for the positive and the light in things. And that's just how you sprout in your life.
If more people could adapt to that mentality and those things you just shared, no one owes me anything. I create my own life. I decide my future. My past does not determine my future. We would be living in a very different world. And so many more people would be so much more happy, like you. So many more people would be able to be successful, because they're letting these past things hold them back, or these expectations that were just, they shouldn't have ever been created, or this feeling of entitlement. If we could get people to rid themselves of all that, it is unreal what's on the other side of it.
It's so true. It really is. I also see how it's a lot easier, of course, to cling to the negative, or to feel that sense of just, this person owes me something. And it's definitely hard, and it's okay to feel that way sometimes, but do not hold on to that. That is the worst thing that you can do for yourself. It's so unfair to yourself. Why would you do that to yourself, you know?
Yeah, you're the only person that gets harmed.
Yeah, don't hold yourself back.
So we talk a lot about, in our conversations, we talk a lot about being a victim versus being a victor.
Yeah.
And I think the whole synopsis of what you've shared in your whole story for me is, you decided to, instead of becoming the victim and being the victim of your story and your path, you decide to put that off and be the victor. And because of that, you've been able to experience a lot of amazing things in your life because of that. And I'm so grateful that you chose to not be the victim. And I'm so grateful that you've now been able to experience so much happiness, success, blessings, and love in your life because of that choice. How throughout your entire process, you clung to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And how Christ was a major helper in that time period of adversity and struggle for you. Who is Christ to you, and how did he help you through that time?
Oh man, he helped me so much through that time. It's hard to pick just like one specific thing, but definitely I definitely, there was a time where I was going to church by myself on Sundays because my parents weren't really active, and they didn't really teach anything in the home. I definitely am. Even now I'm still learning a lot of things that maybe most people would have learned when they were a lot younger because their parents were teaching things in the home. But for me, it's been a long journey of learning things on my own. But because of that, it's been so awesome. I've been able to grow such an independent relationship on Christ, and I have been able to, through all of that, I've been able to seek out through the loneliness, like, that is who can be there for me. And so I started feeling for it and praying for it and all the things, and through time I just built such a strong relationship with him, and I that's kind of really it.
No, I've been there to a degree. I haven't experienced
Yeah.
anything that you've experienced, but I have experienced loneliness. And when you're truly alone, I believe it could be the most painful feeling in the world is loneliness. And when you're truthfully alone and there's no one else to turn to, it's incredible that there is one person we can always turn to, and he can make the loneliness subside, and he can comfort in the moments you don't feel like you could be comforted.
Yeah.
And I remember on my mission, there's a time period when I first went out there for the first 8 months, I was like in shambles. I was missing my family. I'm in Peru. I'm trying to learn a different language. I'm living in like a 7x7 apartment. Everything's just completely different. And it's so unknown and so unfamiliar.
Yeah.
And I had no one to talk to just because I didn't know the language. And I was so alone. And I remember going to bed some nights just praying like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And when I'd wake up, I would just pray and I'd say, it will allow me to experience a moment of happiness today. Just a moment. And I remember the loneliness was just so dark and so heavy, and day after day after day after day, I didn't know what to do. And eventually I just realized I have to turn to Christ, because he's the only one that can help me during this trial. There's no other resource. There's no other outlet. There's no other option. It's him. And he's been there the entire time. He just needed me to reach out and say, hey, I need you. And when I started to do that, I started to feel the comfort that I had not felt. I started to feel my soul and my spirits lifted. I started to feel a little more and more and more of happiness, of joy. And I'm so grateful that you got to experience that in your...
He is so good.
He is so good. But it makes me so happy that you got to experience him through trial and through your struggles, and you got to come to know him, because the greatest experience of my life was that time when, because of that feeling, I was able to come to know him and come to experience him. And it was gorgeous. And I fell in love with him. It was so beautiful. And I'm so glad that you had a similar experience, because he is the light and he's the one that can lift.
He really is. It's incredible.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
I want to pivot a little bit. After experiencing what you went through, the good, the bad, things you got to experience, things you weren't able to experience, and the things that your family went through, didn't go through,
Yeah.
How have those experiences and what you went through motivated you today with what you're trying to create in your own family?
Wow. That's a good question, actually. It's so cool because I often think another reason why I would never take any of that back is because it taught me so much of what type of mother I want to be and what type of wife I want to be. And it has motivated almost every single decision I make today. Just being so present with Covey. And I know right now he's only 8 months old. I'm sure a lot of parents are going to be like, yeah, well, wait until you have teenagers or things like that. But I really think that this is motivation. I believe wholeheartedly that this has forever changed who I am and who I want to be as a friend, as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter-in-law, as a daughter, as all the things, And it's been able to help me be more present, help me be happier, helped me be, obviously, like we've talked about, more positive, all the things. It's taught me to really appreciate what I have, because I've felt the loneliness, the all those things. And it's been really incredible for that reason. So I feel like definitely it's created who I am today and the decisions I make every single day.
I love that. That means a lot. And I think it's great to take experiences, because everything we can learn from,
Yeah.
good and bad. It's like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Or, I was poor and I don't want to be poor. And so therefore I'm going to
Yeah.
work towards not being poor.
Yeah.
Or I want my family to be able to experience going on trips, or I want my family to be able to play sports, or whatever
Yeah.
it may be. And so
Yep.
I think it's powerful to look back and say, hey, I don't want my kids to go without in these areas, or I want my kids to learn these lessons that I've
Totally.
learned.
Totally.
Is there any things like that you remember that cut you deep as a kid, where you were like, I really wish I could have that or experience that, and you weren't able to due to your circumstances?
Yeah. After so long of going through all of that, I deeply, deeply, deeply missed the family environment. I wanted so badly to feel. I remember my mom would wake up in the mornings. She's so funny. She still does this. She wakes up at 4 a.m. every single morning, and she will just pace the floor back and forth, back and forth. And I remember going through all of that, I missed that so bad. I just missed waking up to a presence of somebody. And I remember when my aunt finally picked me up and she was like, "You're gonna come live with us." I woke up the next morning and I heard her getting breakfast ready, and I just cried and cried, because I was like, the feeling of family again. It was the most incredible thing to experience that again. And I just remember feeling so much gratitude, because everything I went through helped me to not take that for granted so deeply, that I will always appreciate it. When my husband wakes me up at 7 a.m. because he's going to cold plunge, I'm never mad, because I'm just so grateful that he's there and that there's family around me. And I'm just so full of gratitude for family because of the situation I went through.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That means a lot. And I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by your words. I already am. And I'm so grateful that people got to hear from you today and who you are and experience you, because you are truly the most special person
You're
I've
so
ever met.
kind.
And I'm so grateful people get to experience that.
I love you. You're the best.
I hope that today people can understand why you are my hero. And I hope they took some nuggets away today of understanding that their life is theirs to choose, and they can create whatever future, whatever person, whatever life that they want to have, despite what cards they were dealt. And I appreciate you having you on the podcast today.
No, thanks for having me. This has been so special for me. I love it. Thanks, babe.
You're welcome. We'll see you guys next week.